Hallo, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdi, ji ayanu, goedemorgen.
Bakhair agale, ni hao, tuna shumbe, washmale, ohio gonzaimes, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, balli kare hain. And thank you very much everybody for tuning into PTV World. You watching World this morning alongside the very fantastic, the very amazing, the very superb Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you so much for asking. What about you though?
I think I feel great as well, but I have a growing concern, Shiza, and I think
Oh,
that I'm a little worried about it as well.
okay.
And it's just because of the fact that we are having or we are witnessing a larger number of increase in the coronavirus cases. And just yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, over here in Islamabad, a notification came out where all the restaurants and the public places will be shut exactly at 10 p.m. by night. But
Right.
what the problem over here is, for somebody who's been so dedicated towards his gym, exercise routine, and discipline, he or she might not be willing to just sit back at home.
You're
And,
right.
and you know what, my growing concern is that, because I have been training for MMA, I've been putting in a lot of effort, strict diets and whatnot. I just do not want to go over it again. I'm like, okay, I've got it now. I just want to maintain it. And God forbid, if you're not going to look after it, if you're not going to wear the mask, if you're not going to follow the SOPs, I don't think that that will be possible.
But, Shazad, yes, I do understand sort of your concern, but it's not because of people like you, because I know for a fact that you have been following all the SOPs and been telling people to do that as well.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because of some of the unresponsible segments of the society, we're here again. We're literally where we started back in the beginning of 2020 as well. It's so unfortunate. And yes, you're right, there's a strict lockdown again going to be imposed soon.
Exactly.
And under the section 144, if any person is found not wearing a mask in public, police can take them to jail.
Yeah,
Literally.
exactly.
I mean,
They can
and I think
arrest
this
them.
is something. This is something
And I think they
that should
should.
have been done. That should have been done earlier as well, because people are literally so carefree about this fact. But ladies and gentlemen, please, I mean, it's really something if every other morning Shazad and I, along with everyone else on TVs, is actually
Yeah.
coming, here and speaking about it, requesting you all to please stay at home. If you cannot stay at home, at least follow all the necessary SOPs when you do go out.
Exactly. And
Well, we
that's
can only
important.
pray, I mean, that it gets better, but
And that's important, ladies and gentlemen, because imagine when we were homebound, imagine that, that the kind of mental health issues we were witnessing within the society, within the members of the society, I think we do not really want to go back to that.
Exactly.
And Alhamdulillah, we were lucky enough, Pakistan was lucky enough, and thanks to the visionary Prime Minister we have as of now, Alhamdulillah, that, ladies and gentlemen, that Pakistan was able to come back out of it. And, to enjoy that glorious victory, I think the only thing we are supposed to do is follow the SOPs. If you're going to do so, I think that the world will follow in our footsteps as well. So
Most
please, ladies
definitely.
and gentlemen, it's a humble request.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. Today we're going to talk about something so important, and every single person watching this right now, this is going to be informative. Actually, not informative, educational for you, because I don't want to give it away. We will do that, of course, after
Yeah.
the beginning that we planned. But here's the thing. When we talk about existing together and promoting multilateralism in the year 2020, where peace and prosperity is what everyone is going after, at this point in time, Shazad, I feel like these are just words, because a huge number of people that belong to one religious group have been marginalized throughout the world.
Exactly.
And it's not fair. I mean, just because you identify as a certain religious group and because you practice your religion, you are violated of your right to actually live normally, and not just in one place. I will give you examples.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about Muslims, if it's not clear already. It's in Europe, of course, majorly in France right now. We talk about, well, Syria for that matter. There are Muslims who are being violated. The cause of the matter is, of course, territorial. That's something else. Then there's, of course, Kashmir, Shazad. We've
Exactly.
seen Bosnia. We've seen so many other historical examples as well. I don't know where we're going forward with this. With tolerance and patience, I think that is the key to multilateralism. Just speaking about it doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, it will be very apt to actually give away what we're going to talk
Yeah.
about, even though that we decided something else
I
as
know,
well,
sorry.
because, we've spoken about it. So I think that Islamophobia, ladies and gentlemen, is one thing which is actually a threat to multilateralism in the
Absolutely.
first place. And not just that, Prime Minister Imran Khan actually wrote a letter to all the Muslim leaders out there as well. And he said that, there's a growing concern, and there should be a growing concern that the Muslim community all over the world, not just all over the world, particularly in the West and in Europe, is actually marginalized. Now imagine that the nuns actually wearing whatever they're supposed to wear, but Muslim women cannot wear the way they want to dress. And I think that this is just absurd, and this is actually not giving them their own rights as well. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that everybody needs to come together as well. And not just that, I think that the foremost and the most important thing is that we will not allow anybody to mock our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam till death, till the time every Muslim is breathing out there. I think that this is a message which everybody needs to understand. Nobody speaks about the Holocaust because everybody understood, and this is where we say that, okay, we compromise, and this is how we grow together. So imagine that us abiding by that, we're not going to talk about it. How difficult it is for you to not talk about our Prophet, and we will not allow it any single day.
Absolutely. And Shahzad, this is not just the sentiment of you or me or Imran Khan Saab for that matter. This is the sentiment of billions of people living on this planet. This is something so close to our hearts that, in the letter that I was reading that you mentioned, Imran Khan Saab wrote, he literally, very politely, is asking the people outside of the Muslim community to just understand that everyone has different values.
Exactly.
Like Muslims will not go after, questioning the values of probably a Jew or probably a Christian or a Hindu or Buddhist for that matter. Likewise, we expect everyone else to understand the value system that we believe in.
Yeah.
And forget that, even if you don't want to give us space for being humans, I think we require, not even request, we need the respect for our last prophet and our holy book Quran, and that is something we're all here for. This is what Imran Khan Sahab actually wants for all the Muslim countries to come together and put in demand in front of the Western world especially. And Shahzad, this is not the first time actually Europe is doing such a thing as well. This reminds me of a particular case of how this, so there was a large Muslim group and Srebrenica is the place. So all the men and brothers were actually slaughtered in front of the daughters and mothers. Mothers of Srebrenica is the incident that we now remember, because then years after, in 2014, just recently, Dutch were the people who massacred, actually, unfortunately. Dutch people apologized for the massacre. What does that matter? I mean, this is literally marginalization we're looking at. Just because a person is a Muslim, you will go after them. Well, I have so many other examples, but actually I do want to begin this conversation with our guest over here. So Shahzad,
so very quickly,
let's
before
hold
we do
our
that,
thoughts.
ladies and gentlemen, that it's not a new phenomena, and I think that this is something which I've witnessed ever since I was growing up, and I was realizing what's going on all over the world as well. For example, if something's going to happen in the West, and if it's a white guy who's actually going to do it, and if he's non-Muslim, he'll be labeled as a psychotic, he'll be labeled as that he's not mentally fit, or things like that. But God forbid, if it's somebody who happened to be a Muslim and he was involved in such a thing, they will all of a sudden be like that, it's the Islam, or probably it's the propaganda of Islam or something of that sort, which we are not ready to accept, and we will not accept it till the last breath we have, ladies and gentlemen. And for that gentleman, Emmanuel Macron, I'm sorry that I'm actually referring to him as a gentleman. I think that you as a leader should have actually thought very well of all the communities living within your own country as well. And because you have been speaking about freedom, and you said that that we free to say whatever, I think everybody needs to have respect for their religion, and this is how communities coexist as well. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little sentimental, but it is about my prophet. And ladies and gentlemen, each and every Muslim, not even Muslims, we have millions and millions of people out there as well who are actually ready to be out there for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May them be Muslims, may them not be Muslims.
Definitely.
For people who have read his life and what he's done and his contributions towards humanity, ladies and gentlemen, I think everybody will agree to every single word we have said so far. But to continue with this conversation, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who's actually going to give us an explanation of what Islamophobia is and how it needs to be catered. And I'm very lucky that that he took out time to actually speak about this issue as well. And if, ladies and gentlemen, we would have called anybody, to talk about Islamophobia or God forbid people mocking our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, believe you me, that every single gentleman or lady would be ready to speak about it. This is a bad. But ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be a professor of Media Studies Department, IIUI, and he is Professor Dr. Zafar Iqbal Sahab. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Good morning.
Wa alaikum assalam, and very good morning.
So thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. And since, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is going to be Eid Miladun Nabi, it's going to be the birthday of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it makes today the 11th of Rabiul Awwal, and we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by Nathwa as well, and that's how we're going to start our day.
Let's do
so
it.
Baba Nadeem Noshahi Sahab is with us today. Assalamu alaikum sir, good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग
क्या सुनाएंगे सर?
बड़ा खूबसूरत कलाम
बिस्मिल्लाह कीजिए सर.
रुख मुस्तफा को देखा, रुख मुस्तफा को देखा तो दियों ने जलना सीखा. ये करम है मुस्तफ़ा का, ये करम है मुस्तफ़ा का, शब गम ने डलना सीखा. ये ज़मीं रुकी हुई थी, ये फलक थमा हुआ था. चले जब मेरे मोहम्मद मोहम्मद चले जब मेरे मोहम्मद, तो जहां ने चलना सीखा. रुख मुस्तफा को देखा तो दियों ने जलना सीखा. बड़ा खुश नसीब हूँ मैं, मेरी खुश नसीब देखो. बड़ा खुश नसीब हूँ मैं, मेरी खुश नसीब देखो. बड़ी कम सिनी से मैंने, बड़ी कम सिनी से मैंने है ये नात पढ़ना सीखा. रुख मुस्तफा को देखा तो दियों ने जलना सीखा. मैं गिरा नहीं जो अब तक, ये कमाल मुस्तफा है. मैं गिरा नहीं जो अब तक, ये कमाल मुस्तफा है. मेरी ज़ात ने नबी से, मेरी ज़ात ने नबी से है सदा संभलना सीखा. रुख मुस्तफा को देखा तो दियों ने जलना सीखा
जज़ाकल्लाह, बहुत
Jazakallah.
खूबसूरत,
So beautiful, mashallah. This was recited, I think, in such a beautiful way. I have literally
Honestly,
goosebumps over
honestly.
here. Mashallah, so beautiful. All right, so let's begin our conversation
Exactly,
with
let's do
Professor
that.
Saab over here, if I may start.
Yeah.
All right, sir. So here's the thing. It's going to be a longer statement, but I want, of course, your view in it. So in the letter that we spoke about initially, our Premier actually wrote a letter to all the leaders of the Muslim states asking to collaborate and actually speak about it. He mentioned something very important, and I think it is mostly overlooked, marginalization, of course. If a person of impact like Emmanuel Macron, if he is publicly encouraging hate against Islam, isn't that creating space for violent groups to come in and act as Islamist groups and actually, be radical? Do you know what I mean? Not actually Muslims, but a lot of other people can make use of this situation, exploit it actually. And again, it will be, sort of blamed on Muslims. How should we react in this situation?
Thank you very much for this, taking this very important topic as a topic of discussion today.
Our pleasure, sir.
I think this is something very calculated.
Yeah.
I do not take it something which has been done by him capriciously, without
Okay.
having any brooding on it. This is something very planned.
Okay.
And these kind of things that you see quite often coming from various parts of the world. Sometimes it's France, and sometimes it is from Norway, and sometimes it is coming from Denmark.
Yes.
And of course, Trump is also saying a lot many things like that.
Of
We hate
course.
Islam, and Islam is cancer. And these kind of things that you see very common these days and are becoming part of the media debates. So I really do not take it something which is quite capricious and quite something out of the way.
All right.
And really, we do not understand this thing that something coming from France is that volatile. Why this kind of
Right,
volatile
we
kind
don't
of thing?
understand.
Really, this is something for common people. I mean, those who do not really understand the history of Islamophobia in France. I
Okay.
call France as a home of Islamophobia.
Really? Okay.
And I have a justification, I mean, historic justification for that.
Yes.
For instance, I can just tell you some, very quickly I can just find it out.
Yes.
You see, the first Quran that was translated in any European language, that was from France.
Okay.
You see, and that was a very polemical interpretation, or you can say the translation of Quran. And that was done sometime in 12th century.
Okay.
You see, Crusades are starting from which place? France.
Yeah.
That was in fact an onslaught, a physical onslaught against Muslims to, you see, wipe them out, because they are the people, those who are existential threat to the Christianity and the rest of the religions of the world.
Why? Do you think so, though? Are Muslims an existential
We are
threat?
not actually. This is something, in fact, threat to them. Reason being that a huge number of people is converting to Islam at that point.
Absolutely.
So that's why that scared them. Once Islam is spending like that and that does not stop, then of course we would not be there in the world. So this was in fact
Makes
the fear
sense.
that in fact forced them to pose Islam as an existential threat for them.
Got it.
So the first Quran translation was in fact done, and that was done by who? By Peter of Cluny. That was in fact declared as Peter the Venerable.
Okay.
At that time, the king declared him as the venerable person. That's why his name is now remembered as Peter the Venerable.
Got it.
And he hired someone who was in fact going to translate Quran, and that Quran is still considered as a Ketan's Quran.
Okay,
I mean, Ketan
okay.
was the person who in fact translated Quran under the supervision of Peter. Peter was the one in fact who had created a polemics against Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which is considered to be still a very, what you can, authentic book about the heresies that they call actually heresies.
Okay, okay.
They were saying that it's a heresy of Christianity and Judaism.
Okay.
And whatever the sayings of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam there, that was in fact all denied by him.
Okay.
So this kind of, you see, thing was starting sometime in 12th century, even before that.
Yeah.
I'm giving you example of
Right, right.
10th century, 11th century, and 12th century, all crusades are there. So France, I say that France is in fact consistently in fact following this path. And that's why you see there are, right now, I'm giving you very fresh figures, more than 70% of the people, those who are in jails, in prisons, they are Muslims. And they are in fact behind the bars because of the petty crimes. And very recent example, just 2 years back, when Tariq Namazan, a professor of religious study from University of Oxford, he was the one who was working against these kind of polemical things that were against Islam, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and Quran. So he was writing about these kinds of things, and he was, you see, alleged that he harassed 2 women in France, and some 15, 17 years back. And that man was, you see, so courageous. He immediately went in France and posed himself as, I'm there. You arrest me and prove it that whatever the kind of thing that you have alleged me, that's an absolutely right thing.
Exactly.
You just prove it. And you see, for the last 2 years, he is behind the bar, he is in jail.
Okay,
And still his trial has not been started. I mean, you see, there are very systematic fashion. France is in fact moving towards these kind of things.
But sir,
I'm very sorry, but I think that we really need to speak about the origin of this entire chaos which we see as of now as well. So it's actually about a professor, Sami Paty was his name. You know, from 2015 onwards, every year when the new class would come in, he will give them a lecture about freedom of speech. And whenever he'll speak about freedom of speech, God forbid, he will mock Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And and the students, when they started telling that, you know, sir, this is not something which you should actually be doing, he would actually make the students go out of the class. So this kept on going, and then eventually there was this kid, Abdullah, you know, who actually was 16 or 17 years old, filled with the love of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Appreciate that. That
exactly.
action is not appreciated.
Exactly, but sir, that's the kind of love you do have for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the one thing which I've witnessed so far is, and we want a solution from you, we want a suggestion from you, because we have never seen Muslim Ummah coming together. But the only reason why Muslim Ummah unites is when, God forbid, somebody says something bad about our Prophet. And that's the time when the entire Muslim Ummah comes together.
We can't stand
So
that.
how do you think that we can take advantage of this opportunity and make sure that we really have policies on an international level where nobody can speak about it?
Yes, this is very
That's
interesting.
good.
And as you are also referring to Prime Minister's letter to Mark Zuckerberg, I think we should have gone, this is good. I don't say that this is something, but this is something which we need to go much beyond that.
Okay.
For instance, when there was something like this, I mean, there were people, those who were saying something about the sacred things in Europe, I mean, the Christianity and the Judaism, a few years back. I'm not probably talking about more than 1 year old thing.
oh, right.
So European countries, they sat together, they discussed it that we have to stop these kind of things coming on the social media. And you saw all social media is operating from Silicon Valley, California.
Okay.
So they all got together, they went over there, they had discussion with them, they had a round table over there, including all the social media like YouTube, like Facebook, like Twitter, like Instagram, and all these kind of things. So they were all together, sat around the table. And the European delegation, in fact, confronted them and said that if something like this would happen again, you will be blocked in the entire Europe.
Brilliant.
And then they stopped.
And we should do something like that.
We should do something like that. I mean, Prime Minister of Pakistan should in fact initiate this thing, calling people from Malaysia, calling people from Turkey, Indonesia, Bangladesh, and even from India. Of course, there's a huge number of Muslims living over there.
Of course.
So I think they should all sit together and then discuss this matter with them. Why you are trying to have this kind of thing up there? Why you are trying to promote these kind of things on the social media?
Absolutely.
So I think we have to stop this by creating a sort of consortium where the people from these Muslim countries should talk with them this issue. That as and when this thing will happen again, I mean, innocence of Muslims, you remember that. So innocence of Muslims, right now Facebook is in fact considered to be, there is a very recent report where Facebook is considered to be as a very polemical kind of thing, which is encouraging those things which are against Prophet ﷺ and Islam. A very recent report, I'm talking probably a report just a few days back that has been released. So I think we have to have something like this. That the countries, the Muslim countries, I mean, that doesn't require anything. There is no such political difference among the countries on this issue.
It's just a will that we need.
That's in fact the will which in fact
But
makes this
sir,
happen.
one thing though, you know, of course this is one thing we should do definitely, and I hope we do that. But don't you think that it's all sort of a deliberate planning? I'll try to explain it rather with an example. So when someone tries to talk about the atrocities that are going on in the Indian illegally occupied Kashmir, I know people who tweeted about it. Twitter itself blocked those tweets, all right? Now, when someone tries to talk about something going on in detention camps in certain countries, Twitter blocks those things. Or same is the case with, you know, something going on in the West and whatnot. But I think it's sort of a deliberate attempt to stop anything that hurts Muslims from being published or from being posted. You know what I mean? I mean, anyone, like, again, India started talking about a civil war in Pakistan, which was not even happening. It was false news,
Yeah.
falsely reported, you know, creating a hysteria. Even then, Twitter did not block or, let's say, removed such tweets. So don't you think it is a deliberate attempt against Muslims and against Pakistan? And how should we go about it if we
I mean,
feel
why-
targeted?
why they would do it?
Sorry, sir, sorry to cut you, but I feel like we're literally 100 years back, where a Muslim would have to get up from a seat in the bus to actually, you know, accommodate a non-Muslim. You know what I mean?
And not just
Isn't
that,
it-
I think
it's
what
an
we really
apartheid.
need to know is, do we even need to bother about this?
So problem is that
Is it the new
have
norm?
Have we ever posed any threat to them? If we do this, we will not deal with
Nothing.
you in normal way. Probably there has no as such threat from the Muslim world.
Exactly.
So why they would then stop? And that's one thing. The second thing is that this. I mean, if you say something about Muslims, and you will see this is very, you see, quickly sellable thing. Everywhere you will see that the people are going to join the social media, and then they start
Anti-Muslim,
interacting with
yes.
that. And that makes money for them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You see, this is a matter of money. I was in fact proposing, as you were saying, that how to, you see, come up with the solution. I'm proposing that why don't we have a FATF-like thing for Europe, for America? You see, they are saying that the money is diverting to terrorism here.
Yeah, yeah.
Why don't we say anything like that? The money is diverting to make Islam demeaning. May our
Absolutely.
Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam putting our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a dark light.
Exactly.
We should have a Islamophobia FATF for the West.
Do you think that's ever going to happen for countries that came together to create such a thing like United Nations and its
Yeah.
branches to rule the world through such an organization? Do you think that is going to happen?
Actually, this
can.
is a problem. That are we proposing this?
Yeah.
Or are we standing up
Are
for
we
it?
standing up for it? Well, you see, Muslims are, you see, forming 1.7 billion people, and there are 52 Muslim countries. If they are all together and discussing these matters and proposing this to United Nations, that there should be Islamophobia FATF for the Western countries, where you see all kind of these things are being flared up with the help of some money.
Exactly.
From where this money is coming? Is there anybody to ask about that?
Absolutely.
When we are saying that this kind of thing is now propagating on the social media, of course there is some money that is making this happen. So who is there to check that money?
Exactly.
We have been asked to check every transaction that is made, whether this is not
Exactly.
diverted to any kind of terrorist activities. Why don't you ask this thing to
It's
them?
because we've been labeled
Exactly.
as a third world country. Sorry, I use this term, but I hate using it. But that's what we've been labeled. One quick thing: for some reason, I feel like even if I say it out loud, I might be held accountable for it. But I do have to talk about it, sir. Don't you think that the Gulf countries have a huge influence in the West? They do. We cannot deny it. So their questioning or them standing up or them talking about it would actually create a difference, no?
That would, but the problem is that they are now being
They are
controlled by the US.
capitalists.
Yeah, unfortunately, capitalists are under the influence of the capitalists. I really do not have any big hope from them,
Okay.
from their side. But
Okay.
you see, we are a big world
Yeah.
that we call, you see, if I give you examples,
Yes,
there are
please.
0.5 billion from the Arab world.
Okay.
And 1.1 billion, more than 1.1 billions are people from outside the Arab world. Why can't we create a difference?
I hope we do.
And we can.
look for them,
Yeah.
but why don't 1.1 billion people can't do anything, which is in fact more than, you see, 30, 35 countries.
Exactly.
So we have to be, you see, together to in fact pose this kind of things.
And we
to
need
us.
to do
That's
that
true.
more regularly as well. But thank you very much, sir, and thank you very much, sir, for joining us. It was wonderful to have you. And I think that, ladies and gentlemen, this is the modern day conversation which everybody needs to have and look for solutions rather than just coming out with blatant ideas. I don't think that that's something which is very doable as well. But I think what people need to do in these times is that we all need to just be together, and that's it. And this is what they're doing. They're marginalizing us, and they've been trying to do so. But did that ever happen? No, it didn't, because we came out stronger, and this is something which we really need to do. We need to come out stronger, because whenever we're going to emerge stronger, we'll have smiles, and they will probably know what to do and what not to do. And how to have a great smile is something which we'll talk about in the next segment, ladies and gentlemen. We're going out for a short break. Don't go anywhere. Good morning.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to World This Morning, ladies and gentlemen, with the very smiling Shahzad Khan and Shahzad Hashmi. All right, so Shahzad, before we did go out on a short break, you linked us to having a great smile and how to get that.
Exactly.
Well, my question is how to get that.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I think I always say this to all our viewers as well, or people I meet in daily life, and that is that the best curve on your body is actually your smile. And people these days, I'm glad that Alhamdulillah, they're actually very cautious about it and they want to have a good smile. They're looking for veneer options as well. But today I think that what we need to do is that we really need to speak about the basics as well, because I think that there are a lot of common problems.
Yes.
Amongst a few of them is, you know, your children actually losing all their teeth just because of the fact that he or she was the first kid and you kept on feeding him or her with chocolates, and eventually there are no teeth left. Why do we do so in the first place? I think we need to stop with that. The Dr. Saiba is actually going to share it with us, whether how to maintain oral hygiene, and not just that, you know, we have bleeding gums and we have so many other problems.
Right.
We're going to speak about that. So if we are going to stop all of these problems, we will definitely have a good smile.
Okay.
Yeah, it does not really matter if you have a longer tooth or not, but since I have got one as well, I still believe I have got a great smile. And
you do.
yeah, at times, you know, even if you do not feel like showing your teeth, you just smile like this. You know, probably, you know, you just don't, you probably play it with your dimples too as well. But ladies and gentlemen, oral hygiene it is the subject for this segment. We're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a dental surgeon. She happens to be Dr. Fatima Zahra. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Shahzad. Thank you for having me. Thank you,
It's
Shahzad.
our pleasure.
Thank you very much for
Absolutely.
joining us. Wonderful to have you. We actually were looking
pleasure.
forward to having a dental surgeon with a bigger smile. Yeah, this is
Now,
the way.
this
Yeah,
is
we like
more
it now.
like it.
Yeah. So,
All right.
Yeah.
To begin with, I think let's begin with the basic questions, of course. What are some of the most common dental problems that your patients come up with?
Normally, patients are coming up to our surgeries and clinics with a common dental problem, pain. Pain is the most common problem.
All right.
Pain, bleeding gums, sensitivity, these are the most common problems.
And the worst pain is the tooth pain.
Yes.
Oh, what to do about
Any
it?
pain is worse pain. You know.
I know, that's what I feel as well, but tooth pain is like beyond.
Yes, exactly. Tooth pain is mostly when we talk about dental problems, bleeding gums and tooth pain is one of those things which is associated with the oral hygiene. Right?
All right.
And having a good oral hygiene does not only affects your smile and teeth and gums, it is also associated with the systemic conditions also.
Okay.
Like bad oral hygiene affects your systemic conditions like cardiovascular, heart diseases, causes cardiovascular diseases, gastrointestinal diseases. And it does
Something
cause
I heard
dementia
about.
also.
We didn't know
It
that.
does also cause dementia. Diabetes is related with gum diseases
Okay.
nowadays. There's a lot of research going on these things.
Wow.
So I think
So one by one, let's start one by one.
okay, starting with dental pain. Dental pain, usually patients have dental pain due to dental caries. Dental caries is the root cause of having dental pain.
What is
common
that?
cause of dental
Okay.
pain? Dental caries is what we call cavity, or you can say what we in layman language you call keeda.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
when,
it, got it,
when
yes.
we tell our kids
I
that
had
daant
black
mein
teeth.
keeda, right?
Okay.
Okay.
I did.
I don't think
Basically-
that you should
basically
be saying
it's
this
a
on television.
bacteria.
I did as a kid, man.
Black tea. But not just that. I think that, you know, this is a very important question, and because of that, what I wanted to ask you was, just the other day I was munching on chips, but it's probably 3 months ago because I'm on strict diet now. So what happened was that I thought that, you know, there's just a chip stuck probably in my teeth, and so I kept on, you know, with my tongue. I wanted to bring it out,
Okay.
but I had my
Filling come out?
chipped. And then I had to go to the doctor, and then when I went to the doctor,
This
there
is
was,
again-
the caries was inside the teeth,
Yes.
or the tooth itself. And
Okay.
what I couldn't understand was, how did it go inside the tooth?
Actually, the bacteria affects the enamel surface of the tooth,
All right.
and when it in the acute state, it is there.
Yeah.
But when you ignore it and you don't arrest it there, you don't get that filled there. It invades you deeper in the tissues, like the dentine and the pulp, and then it becomes chronic, and that causes
But I
you.
brush
different-
every day, even then caries do exist.
This is you know that dental caries is the most common disease globally also.
Okay.
And how can we detect it? Like he said, he didn't know he had it.
With
right?
regular dental checkups.
Oh.
With regular dental checkups. Along with that, on preventive measures, what we can do is use fluoridated toothpaste. In Pakistan, we don't have that water fluoridation program. We are not following that. Usually, fluoride content in water also helps to prevent dental caries.
Oh, okay.
So we don't have that program. So we go to the next step, which is defluoridation of toothpaste.
Okay.
So we have fluoride toothpaste available in the market. We have fluoride mouthwashes available in the market. So we can use those for prevention of dental caries. And again, not to eat sugary foods, carbs, and things like that. And also, the important thing is what we do is frequent munching, what we call.
Yes.
That also affect our teeth, and that also one of the major causes of dental caries.
But that's also habitual. I feel like you sort of get addicted to it, man. I mean,
What you can do is then after you can rinse, you can brush, and then you can prevent.
oh, okay. So here's the thing. What may be some of the reasons of teeth being so soft that they chip off? One being cavities, like we just found out. What may be some of the others?
There could be deficiencies also. There could be calcium or vitamin deficiencies, and sometimes there's a natural anatomy or natural genetically. Some people have thinner enamels,
okay.
and chewing on hard food can affect your teeth also.
Exactly.
Like eating meat and pistachios and things like that.
Or
They
chali
can
for that matter.
Yes, chali for that matter also. It affects your teeth in a sense that your teeth or enamel get fractured.
Alright.
So that fractures then lead to tooth extractions and
One of the other most common problems which I have witnessed for myself is the receding gums.
Yes,
You know,
that
I
is-
think- and it's
What
just
does that
different, you
mean?
know, because once it starts to recede and the tooth underneath it, when it starts to come out, you just feel very different.
Okay.
I mean, it's
that is
different.
again associated with the
Sorry.
oral hygiene. That is again
Yeah.
associated with the oral hygiene. Receding gum is the picture of you having a gum disease.
Okay.
Okay.
When it is in the early stage, you have bleeding and pain and swelling in your gums.
Alright.
And in a chronic state, when it stays there for chronically, it start affecting your bones and pedals and the structure holding the tooth. And and the bacteria start eating that and affecting that, destructing that structure, and your gum, the structure start losing, the tooth starts losing the structure.
But you know, I think that what we need to ask over here is that I have always been very careful about my oral hygiene, and even still,
There are other causes
it's
also. There are
happening.
other causes. Maybe you are
See.
brushing very harshly.
Yeah, I do that probably.
Yeah, that is
yeah.
again one of the there's another thing which we call clinching or bruxism. When people do that,
While
also
sleeping.
affects that also, yes, while
I do
sleeping.
that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Again, this could be the cause also.
Alright.
This also affects your gum and the bone recessions and gum recessions. These.
All right.
these
So you
follow
said
these
we should have regular dental checkups. How regular?
6 monthly, yearly, minimum 6 monthly or yearly. Like in the COVID situation, we say that you should not visit a dental surgeon.
Yeah.
So you should take Myers at home.
Okay.
You should maintain your head. You should brush your teeth twice a day, after breakfast, prior going to bed, and minimum of 2 minutes of brushing, cleaning all the surfaces of your teeth, flossing your teeth. Learning the right brushing technique is also very important. Most of the people are brushing their teeth, but they don't know how to brush their teeth.
So let's see that. So it goes up and down. That's how we do it, right?
Yeah, but the right
Also
technique.
circular and
No,
okay.
not circular.
No, not circular.
Okay, let's see.
It's for the interior teeth. We say we slightly tilt our brush or 45-degree angle towards the gum line, and we give a sweep motion for the interior teeth.
Okay.
Posteriorly, we give a circular motion. On the chewing surface, we give a back and forth.
Got it.
Yeah.
And reaching your inner surface also, again, sweep and circular motion. It's very important to clean. We think that our teeth are clean just by cleaning our interior surfaces and
Yeah.
the surfaces we see in the mirror. But lingually and apparently on the inner surfaces of the teeth, they are usually the places where we find plaque and calculus deposit. Mostly there.
Okay, well, we really need to be careful of, how much time we spend, first of all, on brushing teeth,
Yeah.
because it matters as well. Now, this is probably not exactly a dental question, but it is a question, and I think you can answer it.
I think it's a personal question. Okay,
No.
go ahead, shoot.
Why is dental care not in, like, primary health care?
It should be.
Right,
It should be. It
right.
should be, because dental diseases are the most prevalent and common diseases.
Most common, exactly.
So unfortunately, people. This is because of the lack of awareness. I think people here doesn't know that. Like I said, people doesn't know that the oral conditions, oral bad pathologies can affect your oral systemic conditions also.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think this is because of the lack of awareness.
Probably, and you know what?
At the
If there was
policy
like
level.
a cosmetic intervention that I needed, that should cost money. That shouldn't be primary. But this is medical conditions,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It is a medical condition, but I think that the only reason why it's not included is because of the fact that dentists charge a lot of money as well.
That's what we talked
I will,
about.
I
Why
will, I
do
will
they?
come down to that, but there's one more thing which we really need to talk about, and I think that every media house probably needs to do that as well, because my nephew actually graduated from a dental school, and he was telling me that, Mamu, you know, every other person who walks into the hospital, I think he's not brushed for at least 30 or 35 years or 40 years. So people over here do not have a habit of brushing their teeth. Imagine what's going to happen. So how would you actually tell them that, you know, hey, people, you know what, you really need to brush your
Like
teeth?
I said, lack
And
of
you
awareness.
must face this every day?
Yes, we face it every day because we tried. This is
How
why.
do you even take a look at inside their mouths, man? I
well,
think
this
that
is
it
our
would be
job. We
fraud.
are used to it.
But how do you tell them?
I think.
Ustad ji kabhi daan saaf bhi kar liya kare.
No, we
Something
just
like
tell
that.
them
right?
like you are Muslims and Safai Nisarman is our. I mean, our religion tells to
Right.
brush our teeth 5 times.
Yeah.
You know, with every prayer.
Okay,
But
and-
people are.
And how destructive is pan and tobacco for you?
Oh, this is something.
pan
It's a very huge topic and a very debatable topic. And pan and betel nut and these things, they're very commonly used in our cultures.
Yes.
Tobacco also and sniff, these things, and these are the main causes of oral cancers.
Oh.
And the most 8th most common cancer in men. Oral cancer is the 8th most common cancer, and people are not aware of it. Nobody is talking about it. I think people should have this concept and start getting aware of these things.
Yeah.
All right. So, Dr. Fatma, you know, just a while ago you mentioned about how the water that we use is also sort of, you know, contributing to
Again,
our bad teeth.
yeah.
There are a lot of people who have pale teeth, not because they smoke or something, because for some reason.
Bone
So,
color.
is that genetic? Is
Yes.
that something to do with the water? What is it?
No, it's generally not the water. Yes, what you're talking about with the water content affects your teeth, that is a condition called fluorosis.
Okay.
That is the banding of your teeth. You get banding on your teeth.
Yeah.
All
To
right.
get-
Like a
the
strip
us-
or something.
Yes,
Oh, okay,
usually in
okay.
Pakistan, people residing at Balochistan region or Gilgit, they have more fluoride content in their water.
Okay.
The higher fluoride content affects your teeth and cause fluorosis.
Yes.
But the other thing you're talking is the shade of your tooth.
Yeah.
That is determined by your genes. Like this shade of your skin, that has been determined by your genes. Like that, this is also being
Yeah,
determined by the
and
genes.
I want everybody to know this as well, because ladies and gentlemen, everybody does clean their teeth, and it's just that it's the bone color, you know, it's not just yellow.
Yeah.
Because this is a question which came out from our MCR as well, so I really do not want to name the person as
yeah,
well.
no, but-
so it's yellow, it's yellow. It's not that your teeth are dirty. Please don't
The
do
most common opinion I've had from dentists is that teeth are not supposed to be white, right? Is it?
The more whiter they get, the more minerals they
Weaker,
lose. Yes,
right?
the more minerals we do. In a whitening procedure, what we do is
So it's
we
supposed
take
to be
out the
clean but not
yeah.
white.
And
Okay.
towards the end, we just want an honest opinion, because this is what we thought, and me and Shiza, ladies and gentlemen, we were having a conversation
Oh,
about
yeah.
having veneers. So we thought that, okay, you know, if you're going to get veneers, obviously it's going to be another layer on front of our teeth, right?
Right.
So what's going to happen in between those two layers as well? And do you think that it can actually be very fatal for our teeth? Wearing veneers permanently, or do you think which one's a better choice, permanent, temporary, or whether we should wear veneers or not?
Because we're past the age of braces.
Now, again, this is your priority. If you have a lot of aesthetic concerns, then we can say that veneers is a
Yes.
good option. Good option.
I'm sorry.
And
Yeah, I
for,
get- so,
for a
our
temporary
question-
purpose.
Sorry, so sorry to cut you, Dr. Fatma. Our question being, so if a person decides to get veneers, does that mean the original teeth are going to be grounded and probably cut or something to fix the newer
Yes,
ones on
this
it?
this does happen. We abrade that surface and then the
So
procedure.
there's no
I think
going
is-
back, basically.
So
That's
that
so that-
enamel
that-
is just gone then.
Not completely, but yes.
But
you
yes, it's not
destruct
good.
it.
It's not a good idea to
So
wear
it's a
veneers.
lifetime
Again, this is
decision.
your priority. What
No,
do you
that's,
want? A
that's
good
right.
aesthet-
That's right. We will
Yeah.
think about that. But what we are asking you is an honest opinion. Do you think wearing veneers permanently is a good idea for your original teeth?
Health-wise.
No.
I would say it's a procedure, and you can go for it. You
Yeah,
can
but
you can
it's
always
not
go
good.
for
It's
it.
not
I think that was
recommended. That's what Dr. Saib wanted to
politically
say, but she's
correct
not saying it. Well, thank you very much for being
Thank
with
you.
us. Thank you
for
very much for
having
being
us.
so honest as well.
Thank you very
It was
much.
wonderful to be in conversation. And we would like to have you over again as well. God forbid.
Inshallah,
If
inshallah.
somebody has a problem, ladies and gentlemen, you can definitely write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of,
Well, this morning.
On Twitter.
Well, this morning without the G.
on Daily Motion and YouTube.
It's Well, this morning.
And this fabulous repeat's going to be at
5 past midnight tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow it's going to be Eid Miladun Nabi. Please make sure that you send a lot of durood towards Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Make sure that you remember us, our entire team, in your prayers as well. We've got a
that.
special program coming up tomorrow. Please make sure to tune in. Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning. Stay safe.